Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report Podcast presented by our folks over at Briar-Greaves Insurance. Briar-Greaves Insurance, protecting your assets starts with a company that you can count on: auto, homeowners, flood, boaters, and business insurance. If you have a need for insurance in any of those categories, turn to the folks that I turn to, Briar-Greaves Insurance. Also, Jason Light has Briar-Greaves Insurance too. Pretty cool fun fact. You can find them on the web at briargreavesinsurance.com. That's Briar, B-R-I-E-R, Greaves, G-R-I-E-V-E-S, insurance.com. Or give them a call at 1-813-876-4166. That's 813-876-4166. Today we have a very special program as we're going to be joined by former Bucs head coach and Pro Football Hall of Famer Tony Dungy, who I covered every minute of his career from 1996 when he first came aboard to 2001. And I'm looking forward to catching up with Coach, along with Bailey Adams, who'll be joining me for today's show as Matt Matera's flying back to Tampa from a weekend away. Bailey, how are we doing today?
Doing well. I'm excited to talk to Coach Dungy. Excited for a big week ahead. Finally, we're getting the preseason underway.
Yeah. Coach is on vacation, actually, out in the West Coast, but has agreed to join us anyways. I mean, that's when you love football, when you talk football on your vacation with your family, and you can't wait to talk Buccaneer football. Because when I set this date up with Coach, he said, "I'm going to be out of town," and I said, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Yeah, I'm actually going to be on my family vacation." And I said, "Well, Coach, I mean, we can pick another day." He's like, no, let's do this. Let's talk some Bucs football. So that's pretty cool. Listen, I've been guilty of doing some radio interviews and even some podcasts on vacation before. When it's time to talk Bucs football, Bailey, you just do it, right?
Yeah, and I found some times too where I'll bring my laptop in, and I find that I fully checked out of everything if it was a true vacation, if I never actually took the laptop out of my backpack. I've done that maybe once or twice, and most of the time I actually do pull it out when I'm in having some downtime and get some stories done or whatever. It's hard to stay away.
Yeah, it is. And especially this time of year, because we're in the thick of training camp. There was no Bucs practice today, and there was no Bucs practice yesterday. So this team had basically 2 days off. I think they had a walkthrough yesterday, but pretty much a day and a half off, according to Coach Todd Bowles when we last spoke with him on Saturday afternoon. Just to kind of set the table, they'll have practices this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at One Buccaneer Place. Thursday is going to be that joint practice against the Tennessee Titans, who come to town for the first preseason game on Saturday night. That's right, Bailey. We got football, Buccaneer football to talk about on Saturday night at Raymond James Stadium. Of course, no practice on Friday because that's the day before the game. But your thoughts first before we have Coach join us here in about 5 to 10 minutes. Your thoughts on Saturday's practice, kind of uneventful, which is not a bad thing because we've seen a lot of players get dinged up with some injuries. So at least they came out of Saturday's practice unscathed.
Yeah, they did. And I think something you and I talked about and I wrote about in the Insider on Saturday on pewterreport.com was the fact that both Friday and Saturday practice went a little shorter than it was supposed to. And that was obviously ended up being by design, actually, because Todd Bowles was saying, they just have some attrition at multiple different positions right now. They were down 4 or 5 receivers on Saturday, obviously still down to just Kyle Trask and Connor Bazelak on Saturday as well, with Baker Mayfield missing that day with his hand injury the second straight day. But I think nice to have an uneventful one, kind of, get that last practice in before, a day and a half off, as Bowles said, and a big week ahead.
Yeah, and Baker Mayfield is expected to return to practice tomorrow, barring anything, unknown to us. That's kind of what Coach alluded to, that he'll be back in practice. And not sure if we're going to see some starters play or not. It's interesting, right? Because typically, I think in years past, when they've gone to this 3 preseason game setup, the Buccaneers have played their starters in that 3rd preseason game. For a series or 2, and that's about it. But this year, they're actually playing the Buffalo Bills, who they'll be seeing in Buffalo, playing them in Buffalo later this year. And so you have to wonder, do the Buccaneers kind of switch gears a little bit and maybe get some of the starters some work in the first or second preseason game and leave that third preseason game kind of like how the fourth preseason game used to be. No starters, nothing but backups and all that. What are your thoughts on that Bailey?
If I'm remembering correctly, I don't remember exactly what he said, but last Tuesday night after practice, Todd Bowles was asked a little bit about those plans, and he did mention the fact that the third preseason game's against the Bills, a team they play this year. So we might be looking at the second game being the one where more of the starters play. So that would be the game, obviously, in Pittsburgh next Saturday. So I think that would make a little bit of sense. I think especially with how banged up they are, kind of get through that first one with a lot of the young guys and some of the roster bubble guys playing, and then, get Baker's hand fully ready to go by next week, have him play. I know they're trying to get some stuff down with Josh Rizard's offense and all that, but I don't need to see a lot from him or really the starting offense, even in the Steelers game either. So we'll see how much that really is.
Yeah, exactly. Shaggy said, "What's good, Pewter people?" Yeah, we're going to skip roll call today because we're going to have Coach Dungy joining us in just a couple minutes. We don't want to get knee deep into that and then make Coach wait. So when Coach is available, we're going to have him on. But a couple of comments here from you real quick. Henry Gigante, nice to meet you. It was great meeting you at practice. He says, I got the opportunity to go to a Bucs practice on Saturday. Got to meet SR. Thank you for taking the time to shake my hand and my brother's hand. Yeah, happy to do it. It's great meeting all you Pewter people who recognize us out at training camp and snap some pictures and say hello. It's been great. So greatly appreciate everybody for making us feel really welcome over at One Buccaneer Place. I know the team certainly does that, but to have the fans do it too is phenomenal. As Rolf Stomres, boy, do I love Pewter Report. Well, we love you too. Thank you very much for that. And we also love our Pewter Report TV channel members. And we have a new one, David Bradbury. Thank you very much for becoming a YouTube channel member. Greatly appreciate that. If you'll indulge me for just a minute, we have a couple of announcements to make before we have Coach come on, because we do want to have Coach on uninterrupted without any commercials. But we must thank you guys for getting us to 20,000 subscribers to our Pewter Report TV YouTube channel last week. That was tremendous. Greatly appreciate that. That's a phenomenal accomplishment, something we've been working hard at for a long time at Pewter Report. We started off with one. And every YouTube channel starts off with one, right? And to see this thing grow to to 5,000 to 10,000, it's been phenomenal. And then to get to 15,000, and then we kind of thought, well, we have a shot. Maybe you get into 20,000 by the start of the season, and y'all came through like gangbusters. And it's just been phenomenal to see this channel grow by leaps and bounds like it has, and to get to 20,000, Bailey.
Yeah, absolutely. And, kind of to that point, we appreciate the support, obviously. And kind of like what you just said, too, about the fans making us feel welcome out at One Buck. It has been very cool to get to meet some of you guys. And I just love that, that's something that I've learned when, now I think this is my third season, 23, 22, 23, 21. This is my fourth season with Pewter Report. Sorry.
Fourth season.
My fourth season. And something that I've always been blown away with is just the community here with all the Pewter Report people. And it's just been awesome to see.
Yeah, for sure. Greatly appreciate everybody for helping us get there. We're already at like 20,135 too. Mm-hmm. And I just put our latest video, the Pewter Pulse video that I did yesterday, in the chat as well. And that's on Desmond Watson. I know that he's one of those players, like he's kind of captivated this fan base. And, Bailey, we haven't seen Desmond Watson practice with the team, and I don't know that we're going to see him practice with the team anytime soon. Now, that could be subject to change, right? I mean, at any point in time, they could say, okay, you've lost enough weight. And I don't even think it's the weight so much. I think it's like the body mass index, right? The BMI. And I just don't have a great feeling about him returning to practice because, as I mentioned too, it's one thing, and you were out there for the OTAs, it's one thing to be out there in late May and early June, and the heat index is 80 degrees. It's still technically spring, but then to get to August, where we've had 100 degrees in Tampa, some record heat, the heat index, even that early in the morning, is around 100, if not more, with the heat and humidity factored in. I don't know that it's safe for a player who, and I'm using this term clinically, folks. I'm not poking fun at Desmond Watson. I love the kid. I love his story, rooting for him, but he's technically morbidly obese, right? He's 400 plus pounds. And, this NFL entity, all of these teams have to be so mindful of heat stroke, right? And probably earlier, that some of you remember, the old timers like myself remember Corey Stringer, the Buccaneers, or the Vikings offensive tackle, died of heat stroke on the second day of training camp with the Vikings. And so that's something you really have to be careful of, especially with guys that are not in shape, like Desmond Watson. You put the pads on and the helmet, it gets even hotter. So I think the team is actually doing a good thing here by making sure that he is healthier before practicing, rather than subjecting him to maybe at harm's way with the heat and humidity by putting the pads on and having him go out there in full practice.
Yeah, and like I said to you the other day, I mean, I think it's been something that's been talked about every day. It seems like there's always, pictures and videos going around of him walking around at practice, trying to drop that weight. And I think they are being smart about it. Like you said, I think it does probably have to do more with the BMI, because I said to you, I think maybe on Friday, that he does look like he's lost a good bit of weight. Yeah. He looks much, he looks much smaller than he did, I would say, even than he first arrived. And
right.
So I wonder, that's the thing, is we don't know when we'll see him, because we don't know what the goal weight is or the goal number is to see him out there. But I think they're being cautious with it, like they should be. I think they're trying to do right by him, and I think they're trying to give him a shot to kind of obviously get healthier, but then obviously try to then live out his dream of playing in the NFL.
Yeah, and this might be a thing too, where this is almost like a redshirt year for him, where he just gets in shape, right? And maybe they cut him and then sign him to the practice squad and let him continue to get in shape and lower that weight. I've always said, and I really haven't heard this from a team official. I've gotten some kind of like 400 would be great, 380 would be ideal, right? Like those are numbers I've put out there that some of my sources have reacted to. But I mean, if he's still 430 pounds, 420 pounds right now, I mean, that's still a substantial amount of weight to have to lose. Yeah. And not even, again, the weight, because muscle weighs more than fat. So it's not really about the pounds. It's about the percentage of body fat, right? Mm-hmm. And getting that body fat, that unhealthy weight off you and to where he can practice. I think that might be something that is a full year-long endeavor, where he uses this like as a redshirt season, where he does some conditioning. We'll see. Like I said, Todd Bowles might say, hey, you're good to go tomorrow. We just don't know. But again, the team is being very guarded with details about, we haven't been told what his target weight is, where he is, how close he is to it. And we really can't talk to him because he's on the NFI list, the non-football illness list, because of his obesity. So, we'll see Desmond Watson when we see him.
Right, exactly. And like you said at the start of this, I'm rooting for him. It was, when we got to interview him back when he first joined the team back in, was it May, I guess?
Yeah.
He just has an infectious personality. It was awesome just to kind of get to talk to him, get to know him a little bit. And I think everyone's rooting for him, not just as a football player, but as a person, because he's talked about his struggles in the past and all that with his weight. And I think everybody can kind of relate to that and get behind that of, we want to see this guy get healthy and feel better and then hopefully have a chance to make an impact down the line.
Yeah, appreciate the words here from Michael Plus. Thank you very much. Appreciate everything you do over there, your channel too, Michael Plus. We appreciate you, Scott and Bailey, and everybody at Pewter Report. Congrats on 20K. Definitely an inspiration for my channel. Real Bucs Talk is a must follow. So if you all haven't done that yet, make sure you hit subscribe over there too. A great job those guys do. Christopher Cole, congratulations on 20,000. Thank you very much, Shaggy. Hey, 20K. Yeah. Listen, folks, it's a Monday, and we're not doing roll call because we're expecting Coach to come on at any point in time here. But I do have to remind you about one thing. There is football on Saturday, and the place that you need to be to watch the game, if you're not going to be at Raymond James Stadium, or if you're not going to be at your house, go to Walk-Ons, right, where you can eat like a winner, drink like a champ, and they've got some fantastic happy hours. Now, these don't apply on Saturday. But, folks, you can take full advantage of these happy hour deals today, tomorrow for sure, throughout the whole week, Monday through Friday. They've got happy hour on Monday from 3 p.m. to close, Wednesday and Thursday happy hour from 3 to 6, and then also 9 to close. But tomorrow, folks, it's all day happy hour plus $5 Tito's. That's right. You can get $5 Tito's on Tuesdays, but here's their happy hour menu: $3.99 domestic pints, $5 premium house pours or happy hour wines, 22-ounce domestic drafts, $5.49, $4 for the hush puppies or the onion rings, $7 get you the boom boom shrimp or the half waffle cheese fries or spinach and artichoke dip, $8 for the boneless wings or the cheeseburger sliders. 3 Tampa Bay area locations to serve you: Wesley Chapel up here in my neck of the woods, Midtown Tampa, down there by the stadium, and then also in Lakeland. So make sure you get to Walk-Ons to watch some football starting this Saturday and this weekend as the NFL kicks off the preseason. We're super excited about that. And we're super excited to be joined by the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who brought the Buccaneers back to life. We're talking about the one and only, our good friend and friend of the program, former Bucs head coach, Buccaneers Ring of Honor member, and NFL Hall of Famer Tony Dungy joins the Pewter Report Podcast. Coach, how are you doing today?
What do you say, Scott? I'm doing well. Excited, looking forward to the upcoming season, and it's going to be a fun one.
It really is. Now, I was telling our audience here that you're on vacation, and you don't mind talking a little Bucs football because, I mean, why not, right? It's August. We have football coming on this Saturday night here at Raymond James Stadium.
Yes, and we actually just broadcast the Hall of Fame game Thursday night, my first one of the year. And
that's right.
Hard to believe we had a football game in August, in July.
Yeah.
But we are ready to roll and looking forward to the season.
Yeah, Coach, this is, of course, the 50th season of the Buccaneers. You've played such a huge role in this franchise's success. When you think back to your coaching days with the Buccaneers, which started in 1996 and ended in 2001, what is your biggest takeaway from your time in Tampa Bay?
Well, I think, Scott, when I got there, the fan base was hungry. It had been almost 2 decades since we'd had winning football, but you had this passionate fan base. And I can remember the Glazer family telling me, if we can get competitive, it's going to be fantastic. And we did that. And you've seen the hunger, you've seen the fire, you've seen the energy. And I just think we've got a great city, great area to play for. And I think this year's team is going to keep things rolling.
Yeah, I think so too. There's a kind of an iconic picture of you there, Coach, raising your fist in victory after that wild card playoff win. Yeah, against the Lions. Yeah,
yes.
That was a tremendous moment. I remember Brad Culpepper grabbing one of the Buccaneer flags and waving it in the end zone. That was certainly one of the best Buccaneer wins of all time.
Scott, people ask me, about my career, and they think, Super Bowls and all that. That 97 season, to me, was the most fun I ever had coaching. Yeah. We got it going. The fan base got behind us. We started selling out the stadium, had some great young players, just the energy there, and then realizing that our last game in the stadium was going to be a playoff game against the great Barry Sanders and the Lions. Yeah. And to win that last game in the old stadium, and to do it in the fashion that we did, and it just kind of ushered things in. Hey, we've arrived. We're here.
For sure.
Yeah, Coach, speaking of the kind of that era and ushering things in, you obviously started in 96 when it was still the orange creamsicles, the Bucco Bruce logo, and then the next year, the whole rebrand with the new logo and everything. How cool is it to you within the 50th season this year, the Bucs will be wearing their throwback uniforms 3 times, with the original 76 uniforms in weeks 3 and 5, and then the orange jerseys in week 17?
It's going to bring back some great memories. And I was in college when the Bucs got their franchise, and to see Leroy Selman and some of those people really put things up in perspective, and just to see where the franchise has come from. But that 50 years, it was some tremendous players, some tremendous football, and some highs and lows, definitely. But to see them go back to the orange uniforms and the startup and the history, it's going to be really, really special.
Yeah, for sure. You remember Mike Allstott, his rookie season in the orange. They had orange pants too. I wonder if we're going to ever see the orange pants again, right? We're seeing the creamsicle jerseys. They brought those back for several occasions, and now they're bringing back the the 1976 throwback uniforms with the orange numbers, right? That's the original Buccaneer jersey. But what are your thoughts on the orange pants? Are we ever going to see those again?
Well, I can remember Hardy Nickerson telling me, hey, the white jerseys with the orange pants are very, very good.
Yeah.
The orange jerseys with the white pants are very, very good. The orange jerseys with the orange pants, we don't want to see that.
Yes.
So
that would be full creamsicle right there.
Yes. If you bring back the orange pants, you have to have the white jersey.
Well said. All right, Coach, I'm going to make you think on this one. If you could pluck one offensive player and one defensive player off of this year's Buccaneer team to go back in time and play for any of your old Bucs teams, who would you pick?
Well, defensively, I'd probably start with Levante David. Just the speed, the energy, the sideline to sideline. He would have fit in so well with that linebacking core of Brooks and Nickerson. And, you put him in there now and put him with those two guys, and defense or offenses are going to have a hard time moving the football. Yeah. Offensively, man, that's a tough one because there's some guys that I love. Bucky Irving, just the spirit that he plays. Baker Mayfield, the energy and the excitement and just kind of the old school football. But if I was going to pick one guy to plug in, I'd probably have to say Mike Evans. He would be that go-to guy, that offense. You put him with Allstott and that power group, he'd have been hard to deal with.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, Mike Evans would fit in well with any Buccaneer team.
Any generation. Yeah, that picture right there says it all. Anybody that can do that, you want them. But just the way Mike plays, his work ethic, just going out there year after year after year doing it. Doesn't matter what else is happening around him. He is just going to perform. That's Buccaneer football.
Yeah. Yeah, Scott, I'm sure you agree that's what's been so much fun about these last few years is having some of these guys on this team be all-time greats, and we're getting to see them play right now, and you're kind of adding them into that group of the groups we saw in the late 90s, early 2000s. I want to flip that question, Coach, and ask you, if you could pluck any player from one of your teams and add them to this year's team, who would that be?
Wow. This team is pretty well set and they're pretty stacked. What would I add? Maybe in this day and age, the way football is played, maybe Rondé Barber, a guy who just can do a lot of different things, can cover on the outside, can play nickelback, can blitz, can give you that guy who can cover the third receiver when they go that route, but he can play on first and second down, and a guy that just took the football away from people. So I think he'd be the guy that I would add.
Yeah. How about on the offensive side of the ball?
On the offensive side of the ball, I would probably say Paul Gruber.
Oh, yeah.
Just the steadiness, the leadership, the never say die, the play against all the great ones. Doesn't matter who they put over there on the right side. He's going to shut them down. Yeah. He's going to protect for Baker Mayfield. You can block the other 10 guys. You don't have to worry about that right defensive end. He's going to be handled by Gruber.
And that's the right answer right now because they're not going to have to use the works at the start of the season.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I know it might not be the right answer. My answer, I think, would be Mike Allstott, just because I want to see fullbacks back into the game a little bit more. But Coach, I know you just said that this team is pretty set in what they are roster wise and all that. And I want to ask you about the time you spent with Todd Bowles recently with the promo for the 50th season. How cool was that to talk some Bucs defense and get to talk with Todd Bowles there for that experience?
It was neat to get his perspective on things, how they prepare now. And it's so different now. Offenses are different. You've got to stop different things. You don't have as much in your defensive arsenal. And to see Todd adjust and adapt, it's been great. We also got to talk about this year's team a little bit, and he is very, very excited about some of the young guys. I think this draft class maybe underrated on a national level, but he feels like man, this group can add some things. And it kind of reminded me as he was talking about our 97 draft when we got Warwick Dunn and Rondé and Riedel Anthony and Frank Middleton and just some guys who just added a little bit of juice that we needed. I think this draft class can do the same thing.
Yeah. John Gruden wholeheartedly endorsed Simeon Rice for the Hall of Fame. When I spoke with John a couple of weeks ago, you had a chance to coach Simeon Rice for a season with 122 career sacks. And Tony, Simeon Rice averaged 10 sacks per season every year he was in the league. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer, right?
He is, and we had this discussion. I just got back from the Hall of Fame, and we only inducted 4 people this year. I don't understand it. You've got guys like Simeon Rice, like Adam Vinatieri, who are sitting on the outside waiting, and we only put 4 people in. It doesn't make sense to me. But yes, from a talent level, exactly what you want. Played on some great teams, has a Super Bowl ring, averaged 10 sacks a year. I always look at people, were they dominant? Were they the best in their era? And here's a guy who was. So I think his time is coming, hopefully in the next year or two. But, definitely should be there.
Tony, you played on some Super Bowl teams with the Steelers. You were part of the Steel Curtain teams. What do you say to, and this is basically the media kind of making this, I think, bogus argument, but what do you say to the people that say, well, the Buccaneers, they already have 4 players from that Super Bowl team in there. That's enough, right? We can't put any more in because, the Steelers, they've got, 4 guys from theirs, and the Steelers they had a little bit more of an extended, Super Bowl run, right? The Buccaneers, just that pinnacle 2002 season. But what do you say to that? I don't really, to me, if you're a Hall of Famer, you're a Hall of Famer, regardless of how many players from a given team happen to be in the Hall of Fame as well.
No, you're exactly right. Do you have me?
Yeah. Yep.
Scott, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we.
No,
we
you're
can.
exactly right. You can't look at it that way. Hall of Fame is an individual honor, and you've got to be judged on what you did and how you performed in your era. And my roommate with the Steelers, Donnie Shell, was kind of in that boat. Donnie Shell had 51 interceptions. He was a prime player. He did some great things. And people were, well, we've already got 8 guys. We've already got 9 guys off that team. We can't put another. Don't worry about that. What did Donnie Shell do?
Yeah.
What did he deserve to be a Hall of Famer? So let's look at Simeon Rice and look at his career and his statistics. Don't worry about Rondé Barber. Don't worry about Warren Sapp. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Simeon Rice.
Right. Exactly. Speaking about the Hall of Fame and you're a Hall of Famer. You're also a Bucs Ring of Honor member. We talked a couple of years ago when you were last on the Pewter Report podcast about John Gruden and how he was removed from the Bucs Ring of Honor. And back then you had mentioned that you had hoped that fences could be mended. And last year they were. We saw John Gruden on the sidelines of a Bucs game. It was invited up to the Blazers box to watch that game. It was the 49ers game. Forgiveness is a powerful thing, Coach. What are your thoughts on John Gruden being back in the fold, back in the franchise's good graces, and back in the Bucs Ring of Honor to celebrate the franchise's 50th season?
I think it's very appropriate, especially for this 50-year celebration. Feelings do get hurt and feathers do get ruffled. But when you can come back together and say, hey, you know what, we made some mistakes and let's move past that. And John was a tremendous part of this franchise's history, and the fact that he is being recognized and still being honored, I think that's super, super important. And I do know that John feels bad about the way things went, and that's not the way he wanted them. Let's look forward and celebrate.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. And speaking of another Ring of Honor member, somebody you were very close with, unfortunately, last summer we lost the great Monte Kiffin. And you, of course, very, very close with him. And I'm sure you have countless memories with Coach. But is there one that kind of sticks out, one in particular that you'd like to share with us?
My first memory with Monte Kiffin is I was an 18-year-old freshman at the University of Minnesota. My first start in college football is against the number 3 Nebraska Cornhuskers, and their defensive coordinator is Monte Kiffin. And so this cover, it was a cover 8, we called it then, but it was kind of a quarter halves, and they put it in to stop the option, and they're defending Johnny Rodgers and that Nebraska crew every day in practice. So the first time we get the ball, we score. And I'm thinking, this college football isn't that big of a deal. It's 7-7, and we're in good shape. They beat us 49-7, and I don't know if we made another first down in the game afterwards. But that was my first contact with Monte Kiffin. And then, that was 1973, and then 20 years later, Dennis Green hires me at Minnesota as the defensive coordinator. Monte's the linebacker coach. And we start talking about the old coverages and how we can do this and how we can put things together. And we came up with this scheme, and we played it in Minnesota. And when I got the job at Tampa, Monte was in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And I said, is there anybody else, Monte, that you could recommend that could put this in and do it right? And Monte says, heck, I'll come. And I said, no way. Jim Moore is going to let you leave. And Monte went in there, and he told Jim Moore he had to come to Tampa and had to come with me. And it was just all Monte, and changed the fortune of the Bucs franchise because he wanted to be there. And special man.
It's so great that he got into the Bucs Ring of Honor too, right, Coach? Because as many games as you won and as many games as John Gruden won, nobody's won more games than Monte Kiffin. He spanned both of your tenures, and I think that's a remarkable achievement. That the assistants have come and gone on your staff and also on John's staff, but Monte Kiffin was that constant, right?
Yeah,
and
he was. He was. And I had a defensive mind, but I let Monte.
Might have a connection issue with Coach Dungy there. Yeah, I think Coach froze up on us there for a second. He's out on the West Coast, so we'll wait for him to join us again here. But certainly, I thought that was just a cool thing that the Buccaneers did, and we kind of spearheaded that a little bit. I mean, not that we were the reason why Monte Kiffin got into the Bucs Ring of Honor, but we wrote about that, Bailey. We wrote about that a lot, about getting Coach Kiffin in there, and obviously he just passed away recently, and for him to have that honor and to be there, in person for that, with Warren Sapp right there, with the 2 jersey, the Tampa 2, and I'll never forget that speech. He wanted to have the whole crowd. He said, when I say Tampa, you say 2, and the whole crowd reacted that way. It was just a tremendous day for the Buccaneer organization to have Monte Kiffin in there too, and again, I don't know that there's going to be another coach that's going to win that many games. And how many games was it? It's well over 100 victories between Dungy and Gruden. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head. I know John edged Tony at the very end of his last year in Tampa in 2008. But just a tremendous accomplishment for Monte Kiffin to have that Bucs Ring of Honor induction, and for him to see that day and hear the crowd roar Tampa 2 one more time for Monte was really special to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Related but unrelated, we've written about pretty recently in terms of trying to get that push for them to be in the Ring of Honor is Gene Deckerhoff, and I'd love to see him get that day kind of like Monte Kiffin did, because he's been a very important part of this franchise as well.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to continue talking with Coach Dungy here as he is rejoining us. We greatly appreciate the time, Coach. Thank you very much. We're just talking about.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was actually in my car and my phone heated up too much.
Oh,
so I'm in the house now. But that's a great picture there with Warren Sapp. Wow.
For sure.
Yeah, Coach, I did want to ask you, kind of talking about Buccaneer greats, a more recent Buccaneer great, Tom Brady. You coached against him, especially in your Indianapolis days. How wild was it to see him win a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay?
Well, first of all, I couldn't believe it. I didn't think he would ever leave New England.
Right.
And it was very interesting because he came to Tampa and he brought that same attitude that he had with the Patriots of we're going to work. We're not going to let anyone outwork us. And he got those receivers, those offensive players all together. And he lifted their kind of not only spirits, but their thought process and their expectations. And after a summer of working with him, they expected to be champions. And that to me was the brilliance of Tom Brady, not just what he did on the field, not just throwing the ball and those kind of things, but his attitude and his leadership.
Yeah, there you are right there. I want to say that was before the season opener in 2022 or 2021 after they won the Super Bowl.
That was the Thursday night when the champions, kick off the season. And I was telling him right there that as much as we went against each other and as much as we had animosity, my son Jordan is the biggest Bucs fan in the world and biggest Tom Brady fan. And he asked for a Tom Brady jersey, and I got one, and Tom signed it for him. And it was just one of those special moments,
That's awesome. Speaking of special moments, Coach Dungy and I go way back, not just on the field with me. This is my 30th year covering the Buccaneers. I started in 1995, and you came along in 1996. I walked in the door with Warren Sapp and the Glazers and Derek Brooks. Good year for the Buccaneers. Even better year when you came. But your daughter Jade and my daughter Ellie went to the same preschool.
Yeah.
And we would be at each other's kids' birthday parties for several years, which was kind of cool. That was an unexpected treat for a lot of the dads of Ellie's friends, because they had no idea that you were coming to the birthday party. And of course, a lot of Buccaneer fans that are like, "Wow, you got some pull. You were getting Coach Dungy here for Ellie's party." I'm like, it's not really
you
me.
Weren't. Ellie was.
Exactly. It was Ellie had the pull. Ellie and Jade was the one who made it happen, right? So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, those were some beautiful times, and I hadn't counted back that far, but 30 years. You're right. It's just awesome. Yeah.
Coach, when you look at some of the franchise quarterbacks, because this is a quarterback league, and I know I'm speaking your language as someone who spent years trying to stop quarterbacks, and you were a quarterback in college, so you know the reverence of the position, the importance of it. If you don't have a quarterback, you're not going anywhere, right, in football. And franchise quarterbacks, they're rare. We've seen some rare handoffs from Joe Montana to Steve Young in San Francisco. The Packers have had it the best from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love now. But I mean, there's a pretty classic one here from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield, who really has become that franchise quarterback here in Tampa. What are your thoughts on Baker Mayfield? And it's kind of crazy to think, Coach, but from a number standpoint, he's putting up the yards and the touchdowns rather quickly. If he wins a Super Bowl here, he really might go down in Tampa Bay history as the best quarterback of all time in Tampa Bay, because Brady was only here for 3 years.
Yes. No, he's got a chance to, and still in this day and age, a young quarterback. He's had a lot of experience, and they've got a good offensive system in place. They're going to be a playoff team for a while, and he is no doubt the catalyst. When you come out to practice, when you sit around the facility, you see how players gravitate to him, and you see what he's done in terms of leading. So I think he's got a chance to do some real great things here, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and Coach, that offense being in place the way it is. You mentioned earlier Bucky Irving. You mentioned Mike Evans, of course, and Gavi, the list goes on. Rashad White, Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan, now a rookie, and Emeka Egbuka at Ohio State. What are your thoughts on this arsenal of weapons that he has to work with?
They've done a really good job of putting those weapons together, getting some big name guys, but then having some guys like Bucky Irving who come in a little bit under the radar. And I'm going to give you another one, because my son went to Oregon, and I've watched a lot of Oregon football over there. Tez Johnson is going to be a factor too. He's going to be a guy who's going to make some plays. And to me, that's what the Bucs have done great. Yeah, it's great to get that first round pick and that guy who everybody recognizes, but they have gotten production from all of their picks and some just depth everywhere. So I think they're in good shape, and I do think Baker's going to be a great leader for them.
For sure. We're very excited about Tez Johnson too. I mean, to hit on a 1,000-yard receiver in the seventh round, and a guy that's as accomplished as Tez is, and I think he's going to win the punt return job. He reminds me when I watched him return punts at Troy and then at Oregon. Coach, he's not the fastest guy, right? 4.51, but has that sneaky speed, and he's elusive. When you're that small, you don't want to be hit, right? I mean, that's where your instincts kick in and say, how can I really avoid getting tackled? But he reminds me a little bit of Carl the Truth Williams, but probably a tick faster.
Well, and I'll tell you what, my first year in the NFL, 1981, I'm a 25-year-old assistant coach. I don't know anything. Chuck Noll, my Hall of Fame head coach, gives me about 15 players to look at. And he said, make your itinerary, go see them all, and then come back here and tell me what you see. Don't take a stopwatch. Don't take a tape measure. I don't want to know how big they are, how fast they are. Tell me who can play. Yeah. And I never forgot that, Scott.
Yeah.
And so that went to Warwick Dunn and later on Dwight Freeney, a 6-foot-tall defensive end. And I think Tez is in that same category. If you just watch him play and look at the production, you'll say, man, this guy is something special. Then you can look, well, he's only this big or he's only this fast. Forget about all that. This guy has been super productive, and I think he'll do the same thing here.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what he can do in the preseason. He's missed some time with an injury, but hopefully he gets back in the field this week, and we can see him Saturday night when the Bucs kick off the preseason against the Tennessee Titans. Coach, you know, when you look at the Buccaneers, it's crazy because last year, I don't know how this happened. We've got 5 primary writers that work for Pewter Report, and for the first time ever, we all came up with the exact same prediction for the season. We all said they're going to go 10-7, and they did. But none of us thought that last year was really a Super Bowl season. We all kind of said this is kind of like setting the table for 2025. And I feel pretty good, especially as you mentioned, the depth, the drafting. They brought in some key free agents. If they can just stay healthy, because that's the common denominator between that 2002 Super Bowl team and the 2020 Super Bowl team, even your Indianapolis Colts team that won the Super Bowl, you got to be healthy, right? But how do the Buccaneers stack up in the NFC from your perspective? Could this be a Super Bowl team? And who do you have as the leader in the NFC right now?
Well, I look at it this way. I think Philadelphia is very good. I think Detroit's very good. But the Bucs match up with those teams well. They've beaten Philadelphia in the past. Yeah. They've beaten Detroit. And so to know that you can play against the 2 best teams in the NFC, that tells you a lot. So now they've got to come through the division. They've got to get through the year. They've got to stay healthy. But knowing that, hey, if they play – if they play Philadelphia, they're not going to be intimidated. Yeah. If they play Detroit, it's not going to be, we're playing the Lions. So I like where we are. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, on that road to being that, they've got to go through the division first. Obviously, they've won the NFC South the last 4 years. And when they're the favorite again this year, and you kind of look around, each of the other teams are going through, some kind of transition or kind of trying to learn some more about themselves. Who do you look at in the NFC South as the biggest threat to the Bucs?
Carolina is growing. They're building in their second year. New Orleans, I think, starting over with a new quarterback. So I look at Atlanta, and I'm a big Michael Penix fan.
Yeah.
And I know they're excited, and they drafted Michael Penix when they already had a $40 million quarterback.
Right.
So that tells you what they think of him. I love Raheem and what he does with the defense. So to me, that would be the team I'd be worried about.
Oh, yeah, and they also swept the Buccaneers last year too.
Yeah.
So, but I tell you, it's not in prime time, but that Falcons-Bucs game in Week 1 in Atlanta, I mean, that's
going to tell us a lot.
It really is, right? I mean, and there's, if you're the Falcons, you want to. You lost the division last year, right? It wasn't like the Buccaneers took it. You lost it because you had swept the Buccaneers. You were in the driver's seat, and then you lost those games at the end of the season while the Buccaneers were winning, and they just kind of like passed you, right? They passed you on that final turn. And so Atlanta, I think, has got a lot of angst about that game, and they want a victory over the Buccaneers to mean something. They want it to mean that they're going to be the NFC South champions this year. Meanwhile, if you're the Buccaneers, you're like, we won the division. We've done this several years in a row now, but holy smokes, we got swept by the Falcons last year. We owe these guys some payback too. So I think there's going to be some really hard feelings on the line in week 1. This is going to be a great season opener for the Buccaneers, I think.
It is. And, coach speak is always, well, it's one game at a time, and it's just the first game. We're going to look at it like opening day. But I can tell you, both of these coaches have to be looking at this, that, hey, if we win this, we have a leg up. Whoever loses, they're going to be chasing the other team the whole year. So you go in, you don't want to talk about it that way, but, hey, this is like a playoff game. We get a chance to make a statement and make them catch us the rest of the year rather than us playing from behind trying to catch them.
Yeah, for sure. We had Coach Bowles on before the summer break, and he was a fantastic guest. Loved catching up with him. And when I was doing some research about Coach Bowles, and he's been around here since 2019, but I didn't really realize this. If Todd Bowles wins a Super Bowl as a head coach, he might be the only person in NFL history to have won 4 Super Bowls in different ways.
Yes.
One as a player with the Redskins, one as a personnel executive with the Packers, one as an assistant with the Bucs, and then, of course, he would have that 4th Super Bowl as a Bucs head coach. Can you think of any other person in the NFL that would have that distinction?
No, and I know there's only 4 people that have won it as a player and a head coach. And I don't believe any of those guys won it as an assistant coach, as a coordinator. So just the fact of that, hey, you played in a Super Bowl and you helped your team win. You designed a defense that helped your team win a Super Bowl, and now you become the head coach to win one. That would be very, very special and put him on top of the list in my book.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I just wanted to ask here, speaking of coaches and people who have served in a bunch of different roles, Tom Moore, still around the game of football, still doing it with the Bucs right now. Is it hard to believe sometimes that he's still in the league, or is it just he loves football this much that he's going to do it forever?
He loves football that much, but it's hard for me to believe that he's still in the game. I would not be here talking to you guys if it wasn't for Tom Moore. 1973, I'm a 17-year-old senior in high school. I'm supposed to visit the University of Minnesota. Tom Moore's the quarterback coach. So that's 52 years ago.
Wow.
He's the quarterback coach. And I called him and said, Coach Moore, I'm afraid to get on this plane. I've never flown before. I don't think I can make this trip. He flew to Detroit, Michigan, picked me up, got me on the plane, took me on the plane with him. That's the only reason I made the trip. He was my quarterback coach for 3 years. That was 50 years ago.
Wow.
Now he's coaching Baker Mayfield. He's still giving him secrets, treats. We ran the hurry up, no huddle offense. I called the plays from the line of scrimmage. He would signal them into me. I'd read the defense, call him. The same thing we did with Peyton Manning. He was so ahead of his time, and he's still doing it. And every time I see him, he says, I still love it, and I'm not leaving.
That's an amazing story. So your college career, you owe to Tom Moore for flying out to get you, to chaperone you on the plane, to help overcome your fear of flying and get you out to Minnesota, where you became the Golden Gophers quarterback.
Yeah. And so I become the quarterback. We my 3rd year, we put in a just pro style, no huddle offense, drop back passing. I lead the Big Ten in passing. Tom then goes to Pittsburgh, becomes the receiver coach. He tells Coach Noel about this, quarterback that he had at Minnesota that might not be good enough to play quarterback, but he's smart and he works hard and maybe he can make a position change. They signed me as a DB. Otherwise, I would not be here. And he's special. So then I worked on the staff with him a couple of years at Pittsburgh. Yeah. And then 20 years after that, I get the head coaching job at Indianapolis, and I get a chance to hire him as the offensive coordinator. And it was hard for me to call him Tom. He had always been Coach Moore to me.
And you won a Super Bowl.
We won a Super Bowl running the same offense. Yes.
He's awesome. An all-time football guy, of course. And I did want to ask you, I was doing some research before, and you have a lot of impressive accomplishments on your resume. And one that I just learned about was the fact that you were the first NFL head coach to have beaten all 32 teams in your career. There are only 8 of those coaches in history who have done that. So how unique is that feat to you?
Well, it's a little good news, bad news, because that means if you do that, you got fired at least once to be able to beat your other team. But it says that you were around a while and you were consistent, and I think that's what I love. I was at the Hall of Fame this past weekend for the induction ceremonies, and then to see, of course, Derek and Warren and Rondé and John Lynch, and then Edgerrin James and Peyton and Dwight Freeney. You realize you were around some really special guys who gave you a chance to get in. And just that, to me, is my gratitude to those guys for being who they were and setting the table and being around some just really, really remarkable players over the years. So I think I was lucky with the guys that I had that allowed me to beat all 32 teams.
Yeah. I was going to say, speaking of the Hall of Fame, since you were just there, Levante David has got an interesting case, right? Because numbers-wise, he's got the Super Bowl. He's with the longevity, and that helps, right? It helps a guy like Rondé Barber, and when you have sustained greatness for more than a decade. So he's got the numbers, and another season he's going to put up another 100-plus tackles, a couple more forced fumbles, hopefully some more interceptions and sacks. He's got the Hall of Fame credentials. But I know that among the writers, and we screw things up, Coach. We do sometimes. But they're going to look at the small market Tampa Bay Buccaneer team, and they're going to say, well, you made one Pro Bowl and you made one All-Pro team over this entire career of yours that spans 13 years, maybe 14, maybe 15, maybe he'll keep playing. But how much do you think that the lack of the national recognition might hold a guy like Levante back from even getting in the Hall or really making it drag out? Because as we've talked about with Simeon Rice, Simeon has the credentials to get in now. He's got the Pro Bowls, the Super Bowl ring, 122 sacks. He has probably an easier case to make than Levante, but your thoughts on Levante's chances?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I don't think Levante will be a first, second, third ballot guy. He's going to be a guy who will be on the ballot for 8 or 9 years, and then suddenly people are going to say, well, let's look at this, 2,000 tackles and this many pass breakups and just doing it over an extended period of time. We need to take a look at this. The lack of Pro Bowls will hurt him because the people that haven't seen him play and don't really know about him, those guys who are voting 8 years from now, 10 years from now, that's going to be the first thing. Well, gosh, he couldn't have been that good. He only went to X number of Pro Bowls. Yeah. But once you get past that and really look at the productivity, that's when they'll have a chance. And some of those guys are coming in to play now, and that's going to be a good thing for him.
Coach, let me ask you about this while we're sticking on the Hall of Fame topic. I was talking with my esteemed colleague Rick Stroud, an old timer like myself who's covered this team for more than 30 years, and we were kind of saying, because I'm 53, Rick's a couple years older than me, but there are some writers and some voters that are even more advanced in age than we are, more seasoned, if you will, right? And they're going to be retiring, and you're going to have a younger wave of voters coming into play, people that are 30s and 40s, right, that will be representing these teams, and I think too, maybe not have the small market bias that some of the older, esteemed, maybe arrogant writers, kind of that are from the bigger markets. They look down on some of those smaller teams. And I just wonder, we're in a highlight reel generation, right? With YouTube and ESPN and the top 10 plays and all these types of things. I just wonder if a newer generation of voters, when they come in and they actually see some of these highlight reels, they see how good Levante David was, right? The big plays. They see Simeon Rice and the sacks galore on these highlight reels. If that ends up helping some of these players' causes in the future, because maybe some of these old curmudgeons leave, and the new guard does take a refreshed look at some of these players like Levante and Simeon.
I think it will help. And the new guard basically has one advantage over the old guard, and that's information.
Yeah.
Because of everything that we have, there are more people around the country that will have heard of Levante David, or at least recognize it. Where some of this old group, if you weren't playing in New York or LA,
Philly,
or Philly, then you were kind of second tier and we didn't know that much about you. Maybe I didn't even get to see you play. Well, now, because of YouTube and because of ESPN and the highlights, we know a little bit more about a lot of players than maybe we would have. So I think that's actually going to help when we get this next generation of voters in.
Yeah, I think so. Coach, speaking of some of the evolution of things, and obviously defense has evolved so much over the past 20 years or so. How do you feel your defensive scheme would have played in today's NFL, and what changes have you seen over the years that make you think, if I was still coaching, I would employ that? I want to do that.
I would do exactly what we did. I would keep the fast guys, and speed to me is even more important. And I see these fast defenses. That's who is succeeding. So I don't think I would change a whole lot. I think the fundamentals are still the same. You have to learn how to deal with these 3 and 4 wide receiver setups. The one thing that I think I would struggle with a little bit is these RPOs, these run pass options. I don't know how you would deal with that, because we always taught our guys, you read, this is a running play, this is a passing play. And now when you can have linemen kind of coming downfield, it looks like a run, but it's really a pass. That would be, I don't know how I deal with that. But other than that, I think it's pretty much the same. And I think speed and tenacity and teamwork and hustling and flying to the football and being able to get pressure with 4 guys, all of those things are still important today.
Coach, as we wind down here, we really appreciate your time. This has been so much fun to talk some Bucs football from today and from yesterday with you. We recently came out with Pewter Report's top 50 Bucs of all time. And, it's hard to do because there's a lot of good players, right? We came up with our top 5, and I wanted to share them with you and get your thoughts on this. So number 1, we had Warren Sapp at number 1, probably one of the top 5 defensive tackles of all time across the entire league, followed by Derek Brooks at number 2. The most decorated Buccaneer of all time. Nobody's won more awards, been to more Pro Bowls than Derek Brooks. And there he is, a picture with Leroy Selman, 2 greats right there for sure. But number 3, we actually had Rondé Barber because he has done things that no other NFL player has done, right? With the 47 interceptions and the 25 or 26 sacks, whatever he has. Yeah. And he was really the prototype for the nickel corner position.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 4, we got to put an offensive guy in there now. It's Mike Evans, right? Again, a guy that has set an NFL record with 11 straight 1,000-yard seasons to start his career. He's a future Hall of Famer. And I think now, especially if he beats Jerry Rice's record with 12 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, if that happens this year, and I think it will, I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And then Leroy Selman is number 5 on our list, only because those first 4 guys, Sapp, Brooks, Barber, and Evans, have Super Bowl rings. And this is a team sport, and those guys helped establish a sense of Buccaneer lore at the ultimate level with those Super Bowl wins. What are your thoughts on those 5 Buccaneers?
Well, I love them, and those first 3 guys obviously played for me. I'd probably only have 2 bones to pick.
Okay.
I would say Leroy didn't win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But the way he played and playing in the 3-4, and a lot of times they're rushing 3 men, and he's getting triple teamed. If Leroy Selman had been the right end on our Super Bowl teams, you wouldn't be able to have statistics to know what he would have been able to do. He was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And you put him in a 4-3 and turn him loose like we turned our guys loose,
right?
He would have been unblockable.
Yeah.
And then the only other guy I would think about adding into that top 5 would be Paul Gruber. Again, if Paul had played in the Super Bowl era and been on a Super Bowl team, he would have been a 10-time Pro Bowler and one of those all-decade people because he was that good. Yeah. He just didn't get the recognition because they weren't winning early in his career.
Right.
But I love the 5 that you have. It'd be hard to argue. I would just try to sneak Grooves in there somewhere.
Right.
And I'd probably move Leroy up a little bit.
Okay, that's fair. Certainly, you being a defensive-minded guy, I can certainly see the argument for that. The funniest thing is we had a Buccaneer magazine. I think it was a Pewter Report cover. Actually, I have it right over there, right on my wall. It's this picture right here. And for the longest time, I had Derek Brooks as the greatest Buccaneer of all time. Again, the most accomplished. Like Leroy, he won the NFC, or I should say the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Helped the Buccaneers win a Super Bowl. Had an iconic moment with a pick six in it. And it was actually my good friend and the late, great Mark Cook, one of the best Pewter reporters we've ever had. He changed my mind about this, and he said, you have to actually have Warren Sapp first. And I said, whoa, hold on here, Mark. You're a Florida State Seminole. How in the world can you not have Derek Brooks first? That doesn't seem right. And he said, all right, Scott, you have one draft pick, right? Who are you going to draft first? Are you going to draft Warren Sapp, a playmaking defensive tackle, the guy that's closest to the quarterback? Or are you going to draft a phenomenal linebacker? But when you put it that way, the positional importance in elite defensive tackles are rare. Great ones are hard to find. The Bucs have two great ones in Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey, right? But elite defensive tackles are just so hard to find, are they not?
No, they are. And that's where this defense starts. And no question about it. If I'm talking to Rich McKay, I'm talking to Bill Polin, and we've got a chance to draft that guy in the center of the line that can create havoc and has to be double teamed. That's who you're taking early on. And so, I would take him in that order. Now, who had that great career? Warren played a few years for other teams. Derek played his whole career for the Bucs. So
right.
that counts for something too.
Yeah.
Rondi, a long time and setting all those records and playing a tough position. That's a hard one to me. I wouldn't want to pick him out, but I will say this. If I was drafting, I'm drafting Sapp 1, Brooks 2, and Barber 3 just because of the position.
Exactly. While we have you, Coach, let's do one more Buccaneer great who you drafted in 1997, who was a phenomenal player. Warrick Dunn. When I see Bucky Irving, right, he doesn't have that maybe that electric speed that Warrick Dunn had, especially when Dunn got to the open field. We've seen Bucky, kind of get tackled from behind a little bit after a 30-yard run or something. But Bucky Irving is bigger than Warrick, right? He's probably 10, 12 pounds bigger than Warrick was. But what really kind of captivates me about Bucky and reminds me so much of Warrick Dunn is just the toughness for being little guys running between the tackles. When you see Bucky Irving run the ball, Coach, does it remind you of Warrick Dunn?
It really does. And I remember the Warrick's breakout game. We go up to Minnesota, and he carries the ball maybe 22 times. And I'm looking at him on the plane just to make sure he's okay. And he said, Coach, this is what I do. You don't have to worry about me. But run inside, run outside, pass, protect, catch the ball out of the backfield. And the thing about Warrick that people don't understand, he was the Offensive Rookie of the Year in 1997.
That's right.
And while he's doing that, he is helping his 3 siblings get through high school at Tampa Catholic High School.
Yeah.
And he told me he had to bring him with him because his mom had passed away. He had to make sure that they were doing the right thing. And so to do what he did, but to do what he did in the community and what he did with his family, I don't think people understand how fantastic that was. Yeah,
for sure. Coach Tony Dungy, thank you so much for your insight, for your contributions to Buccaneers football. You are the man who turned it all around, right? This franchise was going nowhere fast, and I still to this day, and correct me if I'm wrong, that San Diego Chargers game out there on the West Coast, you fell behind 14-0. And rallied to beat them. That to me was really the day when the Yuccaneers were no more. You became the Buccaneers. You ended the 96 season by thrashing the Chicago Bears. Carl the Truth Williams had a punt return for a touchdown. You destroyed the Bears, which they used to come down here en masse, 40, 50,000 Bears fans, and make this Soldier Field South. And you turned all of that around in 97. The red and the pewter, the flag, the crossed swords, skull logo debuted, and you guys kicked the 49ers' butt. You knocked out 2 Hall of Famers and Steve Young and Jerry Rice in doing so. But you put the Buccaneers back on the map, and I think this community, this fan base, is forever grateful, for your accomplishments, Tony.
No, it was great to be a part of it, and you are exactly right. There's a picture of John Lynch and I walking off the field into the locker room in San Diego, and I was telling John, this is the moment. This is the day when we grew. We're a team now. We're going to be hard to deal with after this.
For sure.
Coach,
I can speak to that. I grew up in Tampa. My whole family is all from Tampa. So you mean a lot, obviously, to me, to my family, to Buccaneer football, to Tampa Bay. So thank you for everything, and thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure going back down memory lane, and just some great moments for me, my family. We're Tampa Bay through and through now.
Yep, for sure. Tony Dungy, we're going to see you on NBC. Sports, doing some more football this year, and we're grateful to have your insight on the Pewter Report podcast and also on NBC. So thank you very much, Coach. Great seeing you.
All right.
Tony Dungy, I love that picture. That picture right there is I was there on the field when that happened, and this is back in the day before 9/11, where you could have the media on the field, and that was a surreal moment. That crowd didn't leave, Bailey. I mean, that crowd stayed in those stands, soaking up that moment for like 10 to 15 minutes after the game, right? This was after the Bucs wild card win over the Detroit Lions. Scott Mitchell was knocked out of the game. Mike Allstott put the game away in the fourth quarter with a touchdown run. And they shut down Barry Sanders. They absolutely shut down Barry Sanders. And that was still to this day one of my coolest memories covering this team. So yeah, we had a lot of love for Coach Dungy here. Great conversation. We loved having him on. Folks, we're going to have John Gruden on too this season, as well as Josh Grizzard, Larry Foote, assistant general manager. Rob McCartney is going to be on. So this is going to be a hot August.
Yeah.
Hot for football, right? But also hot on the Pewter Report podcast. We're excited to bring these guests to you. So appreciate all of the kudos. Appreciate Tony Dungy for joining us. That was sensational. Yeah. His story about Tom Moore. Oh my gosh, I had no idea that he got him on the plane. He flew out to meet Tony, and then like, hey, I'll fly with you. Let's go out to Minnesota. That's nuts.
Amazing stuff. And yeah, I mean, even the story about Coach Kiffin too. I mean, just him going into the office saying, "No, I got to go to Tampa. I'm going to Tampa." Yeah, just awesome to hear from him.
For sure. We have a couple of comments here that we want to get to. First of all, we want to thank. We've got a slew of new members, and we want to recognize everybody. Gary Waldo, thank you for becoming a Pewter Report TV channel member. Greatly appreciate it, as well as Retro Vega Gaming. Thank you so much. Dominic Tarantino is a Pewter Platinum member. Thank you very much for that membership. Roger Price joining the YouTube channel membership. Thank you very much. David Bradbury has also become a Pewter Report TV channel member. Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate that. Joel Elrican, go Bucs. You guys are the off-season champs. Well, we appreciate it. We love the off-season, but folks, it's football season. We're getting close, Bailey. We have a game on Saturday. You and I are going to be at Raymond James Stadium watching this preseason opener against the Titans.
Yeah, I think I woke up feeling a little different today. I looked at the calendar and I said, wait a minute, the end of that week, there's a football game right there. And I can't wait. I do. The offseason's fun. We get to do our trips as a staff, get to go to the Senior Bowl and the Combine and all that, and I enjoy it, but nothing like the regular season, nothing like preseason first, of course, but regular season into the playoffs, it's been a lot of fun, so can't wait. Yeah, for sure. The Tom Morris story was mind-blowing good stuff. Yeah, for sure. We had no idea about some of these stories. I knew some of what was coming, but not those stories. That's phenomenal. Yeah. Also wanted to thank Richie P. Thank you so much. Man, you really support this channel. We really appreciate you, Richie P. $20 super chat. Congrats, guys, on your 20,000. Well, if you missed the beginning parts of the show, and if you missed last week's show, we're gonna tell you we had 20,000 subscribers to our YouTube channel, Pewter Report TV. Super excited about that. If you want to become a channel member, we just had a slew of signups. We greatly appreciate that. It's the best way you can support us. You can hit the subscribe button for sure. That's free. That's easy. But if you want to take your membership and your support for Pewter Report to another level, become a channel member. For $3.99, you can get loyalty badges, custom emojis. For
For $6.99, you become a Pewter Pro member, get those badges and emojis, plus early access to our Pewter Report videos like my Pewter Pulse videos. The Pewter Premier membership for $9.99 gets you all of that, plus some shout outs, as well as exclusive insider episodes. We're going to have our return to the Pewter Insider this Friday, right before the Saturday preseason game. That's going to be at 1:30 here on Pewter Report TV. That's every Friday during football season. So it's a great bonus podcast for our Pewter Premier and Platinum members. And if you're a Pewter Platinum member, you get free Pewter Report merch after a couple months, as well as all of the stuff we've mentioned, and an annual Platinum member meetup in Tampa. And that was so much fun, Bailey. You were there. You got to meet a lot of Pewter Platinum members. We had Mike Greenberg, the Bucs assistant general manager. Zion McCollum, Bucs cornerback, was out there. Both signed autographs, took pictures with fans. It was really a great time.
Yeah, I'm already looking forward to next year's. I don't want to skip through the football season, of course, but next year's will also be very fun.
For sure. Listen, we've had a great time. And if you want to maybe get your business involved in the Pewter Report podcast and become one of our sponsors, we have some of those opportunities available. And all you have to do is just email me at sr@pewterreport.com, and I can have a conversation with you about your business and how you can score some new customers. We've got really 3 different facets of the Pewter Report enterprise: our podcasts, which are 4 days a week; the website, pewterreport.com, which is bustling with Bucs news and reports and columns; and then, of course, our social media channels, which are growing by leaps and bounds. So a lot of great ways we can get your business to score some new customers. And as a bonus, if you would like to have me come out to speak to your business, I'm available for corporate speaking engagements. It's awful fun. I have a great time doing it. I speak every year at the Sports Club of Tampa Bay. I'll be speaking at a Rotary function in just a couple of months. And what I do is I give a State of the Bucs address. We have a lively in-person Q&A session about your team where I answer your questions. I'll dish some inside scoop on the team and some stuff that I really can't even report publicly, so you guys get some inside scoop. And I got 30 years of Bucs experience, to back me up here. So if you're interested in having me coming out to speak to your corporate event, whether it's just an informal get-together at your office, or if you would like to have me come to any type of speaking events, whether it be a picnic, a convention, what have you, I'm available. sr@pewterreport.com. Drop me an email, and happy to discuss that with you.
Yeah, not that you need me to vouch for you, but as someone who's been on all these trips now with Scott and with the whole Pewter Report staff, stories for days and stories that I never could have imagined. So you want Scott telling you some stories, that's for sure.
Well, and we're going to tell some more stories tomorrow on the Pewter Report podcast at 4:00. We've got another round of training camp practices to talk about Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We have Josh Capo in the house driving down from Atlanta. He will be joining us on the Wednesday podcast, which will be on Wednesday at 4:00. He's going to be filling in for me. And so we've got the Thursday practice will be a fun one to talk about because it's the joint practice with the Titans. We're looking forward to that as well. That'll be a little bit of a precursor before the Saturday night kickoff with your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I remember meeting Abraham out there at Bucs training camp. It was great meeting you on the second day of training camp. It was a blast. I love meeting all of you Pewter people. The whole Pewter Report staff does. So if you're out there at camp this week, make sure you mention Pewter Report. Just scream at us from the stands. We'll turn around, we'll wave hello, we'll shake some hands, take some pictures, whatever you want to do. So we love you guys. It's an absolute blast. This is going to be a fun season, Bailey. And the last thing I'll say is probably the only thing that comes close to the excitement of Buccaneer football is when you hit the links, right? When you go play golf. And the folks over at Heritage Isles have got a great golf course. It's up here in the new Tampa area. It's a golf and country club. It's open to the public, but you can also join as a member. It's ranked in the top 3 best value courses in the Tampa, St. Petersburg area by Golf Advisor. These people know what they're talking about. So if you want to try a new golf course, if you haven't tried Heritage Isles yet, go ahead and do it. It's a nice, challenging course, great layout, scenic views for sure. For tee times, give them a call at 813-907-7447. That's 813-907-7447. Or look up Heritage Isles Golf and Country Club on the web. Bailey, this has been a fun show. It's great when we have Buccaneer guests on. But it's also going to be great when we're watching Buccaneer football tomorrow morning at 8:30, drenched in sweat, baking in the heat with the sun. But we do it. It's a labor of love.
Yeah. I'm going to have FOMO tomorrow morning. I won't be there tomorrow morning, but I'll be back Wednesday. So
wait, you're not going to be there tomorrow?
No, I wish I was.
Oh, gosh. Well, Josh is going to be upset about that.
Sure he is.
Folks, listen, I've got to share something with you real quick. All right. If you see Bailey Adams here, he's rocking the gold hair and the black beard because he is a UCF Knight through and through. And Josh Capo and Bailey Adams go at it because, of course, Bailey is from UCF and Josh is from USF. And Bailey has been a little he's been a good sport about the fact that we have a sponsor for our training camp coverage, and that, of course, is the USF Bulls. Sorry, Bailey, I have to do this. I'm contractually obligated to promote the USF football season tickets, which are on sale now. And Josh Capo would love this read. You can visit usfbullstix.com to get your tickets for the season or individual game tickets. The season kicks off at Boise or against Boise State at home on August 28th, and their homecoming game is on October 18th versus FAU. Join the Bulls Stampede and make sure you get some season tickets because this game is on a Thursday night, and that's what's cool is even if you have a different college football team that you like to root for, you can watch that game on Saturday, and you can be in Tampa at Raymond James Stadium watching the Bulls play the Boise State Broncos, a team that was in the playoffs last year. So this would be a great way for Alex Golish and the Bulls to kick off a season coming off that bowl win last year by playing Boise State at 5:30. It's the first college football game of the season, I believe, 5:30 on August 28th. So get your tickets at usfbullstix.com.
Yep, do it.
Yeah, we're going to have some fun with Josh and Bailey out of practice. The war on I-4 might be over in terms of Saturdays, but for this week, it's back on with you guys going at it. You guys go at it in our group chat. So, folks, we're going to call it a show. Thank you so much for watching, and we're going to have another show tomorrow at 4 o'clock here on Pewter Report TV, our YouTube channel. Make sure that you are checking out all of the good stuff we have for you social media-wise on pewterreport.com. We've got the best Bucs coverage, as you know, breaking news, inside scoop from training camp, injury reports. Baker Mayfield should be returning back to practice tomorrow, which is a good thing. For more Bucs video content, subscribe to our Pewter Report TV YouTube channel and follow us on X, Facebook, and Instagram at Pewter Reports. And that'll do it for today's show. For Scott Reynolds, I'm pulling my Matt Matera here. This is what matters. For Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera. For Bailey Adams, I'm Scott Reynolds. How about that? We'll see you tomorrow for a brand new edition of the Pewter Report Podcast. Out.